So this is the chaos garden. Some things were planted on purpose, some were not. Actually, the majority of what's in here was not planted. So all of these tomatillos here, yeah, they just popped up on their own. I'm assuming it's because I put some compost out here, but they're like big healthy plants already making flowers. And I don't know if tomatillos can hybridize with tomatoes or peppers and make weird combinations when they voluntarily come back from seed, but we're gonna find out. This was supposed to be my bean teepee, but the deer got in early and chomped all the beans down. Oh, look, there's one little pea right there. It's yeah, he's doing a struggle. This, I think I planted on purpose. This is a melon, I believe. This is a bean that I planted on purpose. In the middle here, I planted some thyme. On the outside, oh, this is some arugula I did not plant. There are some flowers I planted on purpose. Around here, I put like an edible flower mix, and yeah, I'm getting a lot of things I did not plant. Oh, there's some little pansies down there. I've got a bunch of beets that didn't germinate evenly, so I'm gonna have to transplant when I weed. And then we've just got these tomatillos have just taken over everything. This is the Chinese cabbage that I planted a few weeks ago. It's doing good. I just transplanted a few sunflowers. They're really sad because they've been in my greenhouse and it's been like 106 the last couple days. Over here, I've got some kale and some kohlrabi. This looks like some type of a melon that I didn't plant. So that'll be interesting. I am just gonna let a lot of the stuff in my garden grow, and we're just gonna see what we get at the end of the season. I'm trying something new. So I built these cages here, and I'm making them into like very large trellises. So, oh, there's a volunteer sunflower. This is a cucumber that I planted, and he has not been enjoying the heat lately. He's looking kind of rough, but I'm hoping he can climb up this. And I just stuck it over here in a section where there were a bunch of other squash and cucurbits that voluntarily grew themselves. Oh, look at this. We've got some wheat. Must have been from the hay I put out here. These are loofahs here. The loofahs are doing pretty good. All of these squash, not supposed to be here. There's some radishes in that section, but everything desperately needs to be weeded. And this whole mess, I didn't plant any of those squash or those potatoes. Those are from last year. I need to get out here and kind of sort the chaos. In an attempt to keep the deer out, I decided to put up a bunch of flash tape around the perimeter. Apparently, sparkly moving objects are supposed to scare deer. Unfortunately, it wasn't super effective because they just started climbing under the fence instead of hopping over it. When I'm weeding, I don't actually remove the weeds from the garden. Instead, I lay them down so they can act as a ground cover and add organic matter. After a long day of working in the garden, one of my favorite things to do is to take a plant bath. First, I add some Epsom salts, and then a variety of leaves and flowers. I always make sure to use plants that are non-toxic, and often I'll just use herbs out of the garden. Today, I'm using some soapwort, as well as lemon balm and mint. Back in the garden, the battle against the grass continues. That's what I get for planting a garden in what used to be a lawn. I was just weeding around here in my squash forest, and look at this! I have little baby zucchini! There's 2 of them there. I have no idea if they're going to actually turn out to look like regular zucchini, because they could be some weird hybrid, but so far they are definitely looking like some kind of squash. When I came home today, there was a deer in my garden. I didn't get it on video because I was too busy screaming at it. But on its attempt to escape, it busted this giant hole in the fence. So step 1, need to get that mended. Even though deer are a nuisance, I do enjoy seeing them in the yard, especially the fawns, just as long as they stay on their side of the fence. Once the garden is decently weeded, I add a layer of hay from my dad's goat sheds. This acts as both a ground cover to help keep the weeds down and a fertilizer. Well, I just got back from a week away, and the garden has certainly been doing some good work while I was gone. The deer did break in. The gate was down when I got here. I've pinned it up since, but they didn't do too much damage. They nibbled the beets just a bit, and the Chinese cabbage is a little worse for wear. They also demolished some of my brassicas. They seem to really like the kohlrabi. So they kind of munched it down to the stems. Overall, everything is looking really good. I've got a bunch of carrots coming up down here. The tomatillos, of course, are taking over everything. My sunflower looks like it's about to bloom. This cucumber took a little bit of a hit. He got munched on, but he'll come back. This right here looks like some kind of a squash. I'm thinking, I don't know, it's either a squash or a melon, because it's got all of these cute little babies on it. It has a really fuzzy leaf. So I think it's either some kind of a cantaloupe or maybe it's like a butternut squash, and it has these really pretty white flowers. My loofahs are doing well. They're climbing the trellis. This squash got 8. This is a bit of arugula seed that I sprinkled from an arugula plant that had gone to seed, and it's actually sprouting. Of course, the deer didn't touch the onions, and they didn't really hit any of my big squash here. I've already gotten a few squash off it. I think they are some kind of spaghetti squash, but I've just been eating them green, just sauteing them like zucchini. This section here, I forgot to turn on the soaker. The sprinkler was on a timer, but I forgot to turn off this part of the soaker, so everything was really sad and dry here when I got home. That leaf got a little burned, but since I've gotten some water, they've all perked up really well. The dill is starting to flower, but what's really exciting is right over here, one of my mystery plants turned out to be an Armenian cucumber. This is a really interesting squash. It looks like a hybrid between a spaghetti squash and like a yellow crookneck, because it definitely has the yellow crookneck skin, but it's round like a spaghetti squash. So I'll let that one go a few more days and then we'll give him a try. Well, it's certainly harvest season. I've got a bunch of these mysterious squash that are some kind of hybrid because they were a volunteer. A few tomatoes. Looks like maybe one of them is actually ripe. They got hit pretty hard with the deer. Most of everything out here is tomatillos. Oh look, a melon. This poor squash got his butt stuck. I've got tomatillos all over everything. And look at this. A birdhouse gourd. Got one big sunflower right there. Another one over there. And so many tomatillos. Yep, definitely a chaos garden. Well, the time has come. All good things must come to an end. It is supposed to freeze tonight, which means I need to harvest as much of this as I possibly can before dark. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again soon.